In order for Vanderbilt to improve, Diego Pavia must find and unlock another level to his game. I think it's there. We're going to diagnose it. Let's get it.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, welcome in to Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. And to you everydayers, shout out to you. I appreciate you guys more than you know. So, like I said, welcome in. We got an action-packed show today. Vanderbilt's offenses, man, they're set to explode. And the tight end group is a very unique group that's going to bring this offense versatility, especially with that dynamic connection that Diego Pavia has with Eli Stowers. I think this group is very overlooked, underrated, and I think is going to bring a whole new dimension and element to this offense that's going to kind of make it step into that next level. But this is the most important season of Vanderbilt football history. And it's important to note that, as Vanderbilt climbs the ladder, to climb the ladder, I think they have to do as good as or better. And I'm going to say the latter is more important. I think as great as Diego Pavia was last year, I think he has a whole nother level to his game. And I think he can unlock that level of performance. And that's, that's what he has to do. And he's got to find that, and he's got to, and I think he has it. And Clark Lee thinks he has it as well. So it's very important for him to be able to improve if this Vanderbilt team is going to improve, because there are things that he does that he brings to the table. We all know he is the star of the team. He is the emotional leader. He is the guy that organizes everything. He's the guy that he's kind of the glue guy. He gets everybody together, everybody on the same page. And as he goes, this Vanderbilt team will go. Now, the most talented dude on the roster, the best prospect player, whatever you want to say, is Eli Stowers, and there's quite a connection there. So I'm not overly worried about that. But, I think in order to unlock a new level, there's a lot of things that have to happen for Diego Pavia. And we talked about this before with his draft stock and how he was going to be an NFL player, but that was what he needed to really show to the NFL scouts. And to be honest, to some degree, all that factors into him being able to help Vanderbilt win games this season, because we all know, look at the schedule, it's a pretty tough schedule. So I'm curious to see kind of what he does as the unequivocal starter. Like last year, it was a quarterback battle. So he was trying to win over that starting position. He was trying to win over the coaches. He was trying to win over the team. He hadn't practiced with them officially until fall camp. I mean, he did some things in the summer, but that's not really official. But like fall camp was his first opportunity to show what he has in the offense, to win over his teammates trust-wise, to win over the coaches trust-wise, so they felt good about unlocking some things. And that's kind of what happened. Now, this season, it's different. He goes in with a totally different level. He is unquestionably the number one quarterback. He's not looking over his shoulder, not one bit. And he's the leader of the team. He's been doing all these press appearances, most recently the Bobby Bones show, and just really getting himself out there. And I think Vanderbilt's doing a really good job of marketing him and allowing him to market the team and the university. And it's really starting to become a home run, because that's also something Vanderbilt hasn't been that great at, is marketing for themselves. So that's good to see, and that's good for this program. That's good for NIL, and that's good for recruiting potential, because if recruits see that, they know that they can build a brand here. This ultimately proves that. And Diego Pavia, his press tour and all this stuff, absolutely prove that. Now, the last step about it with quarterbacks, and especially superstar quarterbacks, is, hey, am I going to be developed here? And is there room for growth? Can I create an NFL portfolio for myself playing in this offense? And I think the answer is definitely yes. Diego Pavia is going to have a chance to show that. But how? Okay, here's how. And this is what Diego Pavia said. He recognizes it as well. He said, I think one thing is staying healthy. And he said, in regards to areas of improvement, I can improve in that. And 2 is having my feet quicker in the pocket, being able to mobilize in the pocket and stay in the pocket while being mobile. That's a big difference from last year to this year. And what that quote means is this. First thing is staying healthy. I think year 2 in the offense, being able to check in and out of good and bad plays. I think understanding a little bit now about the protections and what SEC defenses are going to do. It's one thing to call protections against New Mexico. That's entirely a separate thing. But then you step into Vanderbilt, you step into the SEC, and you're playing top-notch defense. Like the top defenses in the country are all lining up across from you. LSU, Texas, Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky. And as bad as Auburn was, as bad as Kentucky was, they were still really tough on defense. And they were still really well coached on defense. They just didn't execute. And Vanderbilt out-executed them. But it's going to be that next level of diagnosing those coverages, being smarter with the football, understanding when it's time to deliver a shot, when it's time to slide, when it's time to get out of bounds, when it's time to just throw it away and live another day. Like all of those things he has to diagnose to be able to keep himself healthy, because it was against Kentucky that the dude laid on his ankle, injuring his ankle, and he wasn't the same the rest of the year. And he didn't have the other skills built up to be able to adjust his game well enough to help Vanderbilt continue the positive momentum that they were on. So part of that is A, staying healthy, but B, kind of revolutionizing his game to where if he does get banged up, because the style of play that he plays with is very tough. It's very hard on your body. It makes being healthy difficult. It makes not being banged up in the trainers, but he's been doing a lot of prehab, preventative rehab. He's been in the weight room. He's been in with the training staff and the strength training staff, and getting his body ready for the rigors of the SEC. He knows now. He's got that season under his belt. He knows what it takes to stay healthy in the SEC, right? And he knows what that's like. But now, on top of that, further things he can do to prehab or preventative rehab is designing his game to where he can be mobile within the pocket, understand where the ball needs to go, and really build his pocket passing game. Not saying that he needs to turn into a dynamite pocket passer. He still needs to be himself but I think he needs to add that element to his game, A, for the NFL, and B, for self-preservation, because if they can develop a pocket game with him, if they can develop a drop back passing game with him, even if it's like 15% of the offense, I think that's going to add a level of explosiveness, and it will help his completion percentage. It will help his downfield accuracy, and it'll help him get the ball out of his hands so he doesn't take as many hits. And in order for him to do all that, he had to move the pocket. He had to scramble around. And I think sometimes he just didn't understand that all he had to do was step up and get rid of the ball, and it was there. And I think sometimes a little bit is that his hero mentality of, I got to do this myself. And he doesn't have to. He's got to, I think the more he realizes that Stowers is the safety blanket. You have Junior Sherrill here. You have Martell Height there. You have Trent Hudson there. You have Cole Spence sitting right there as a big target if he's not in the protection. You have options. You just got to slow down your mind a little bit and find those options and deliver the ball. And that's what he's talking about, being more mobile, buying time, because these rushes are really good, especially South Carolina, buying time in order to deliver the ball where it needs to get to. Because one of the things that he could have done banged up was become more of a pocket passer. And if he was better at that, I don't think there would have been as big of a dip for Vanderbilt if he could throw from the pocket. And I think if he can add that element to his game, sky's the limit, right? And it's that next level. It's being that next level player that's going to help get Vanderbilt to that next level. They need Pavia to turn into an NFL guy, which he can create with his legs, he can buy himself some time, and he can contribute in the running game, and he has the wherewithal and the smarts and the headiness to stay healthy, to not take shots, unnecessary shots. And all of that, if he can just practice self-preservation by developing his pocket game and his mobility within the pocket and his ability to get the ball out on time. And I think being able to diagnose coverages better is going to help. Understanding and being in year 2 of the offense is going to help. Confidence and having more reliable targets around him is going to help. And then the run game being dynamic as it's going to be with him, Cedric Alexander, and MK Young, and AJ Newberry with time, with Trey Richardson and Martel Height involved in some sort of thing there as well. I think this offense has potential to reach some new heights. And that's exciting if you're somebody, I think that's exciting for Diego Pavia. And I think it's going to be exciting for Vanderbilt fans because it gives you a little bit of versatility. It gives you a little bit of electricity within this offense. And I think it's going to pump up the team. I think it's going to motivate the team. And it's going to give the fans something good to watch. So you're going to get more Vanderbilt fans in the stands, especially with that new stadium renovation. You're going to get a more exciting, more electric offense. And you're going to get a team that just gets this momentum, and it's going to explode. If all those things can happen, it's going to explode. And I'm looking forward to it to do that. But it's crucial for Diego Pavia to understand that self-preservation is the biggest key. Because if he gets hurt against LSU, Missouri, Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee games become impossible. There's no breaks in there. There's no let-up games in that scenario. So he's got to be able to self-preserve, and he's got to be able to do the things that he needs to do. And I think the offense will move better, more efficiently, and be more explosive if he can do all of those things. Now, looking at this offense, I think it's a very unique offense because it's one that I think outside of one particular guy, Eli Stowers, it's looking for a target. It's looking for weapons. It's looking for a way to do things. It's looking for ways to be versatile and be dynamic. 12 personnel is something that we can get to. And of course, Eli Stowers, that connection is always open. But it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of see what direction they go based on who emerges out of this group. We'll talk about the possibilities next. All right, but first, we're going to talk about game time. That's right. Have you ever decided last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Well, maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where game time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without all the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. But Game Time makes that all possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop closer you get to first pitch. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. So Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, and it's making it easy to browse the app and exciting upcoming MLB game. It's tough for me to say any Braves games are exciting these days, but they just finished a series with the Yankees. That would have been an exciting matchup. But are you tired of all the endless scrolling trying to find the best deal? Well, Game Time Zone Deals pick the best seats in your section for you. Seat views right in the app before you buy, so you know exactly where it's going to be. You can't beat that, man. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen. If you need a second listen, hey, Locked On SEC. That's where you want to go. Chris Gordy does a phenomenal job. I hope you guys enjoyed Martel Height. Chris Gordy does a phenomenal job interviewing these guys at SEC Media Days, and Martel Height, man, I tell you what, man, when it comes to like media training and like guys just having that presence, I think the Vanderbilt guys did a phenomenal job, all of them. they had presence, they had confidence, they were there. I mean, Pavia's a rock star, obviously, but Martel Height, he had some juice, and Randon Fontenot did as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys perform on the field. But when it comes to explosiveness on offense, like I think this whole like Diego Pavia unlocking to another level, I think because football is a team game, it's going to require help, right? Because I mean, he can do all of that stuff, but if there's nobody on the other end of those passes, it means nothing. But I tell you that he has a great place to start. He said, quote, Eli Stowers was his safety blanket. And he said the coaches tease him all the time with who's carrying who? Is Eli carrying you, or are you carrying Eli? And it just kind of goes both ways in that regard. And they like to tease him about that, which is kind of funny. But it's a really, really good connection. And I think it's legit because, you're going to see, and what I'm most excited about this connection is this. It's going to be like, if you watch the bowl game, Eli Stowers mossed a dude. That was incredible. Like that right there. I said, if he comes back, because at that point, I was like, he's gone, dude. Like he did that. I was like, there's no way. There's just no way he's coming back. He's going to the NFL. Like there's no way. Like he had a monster game against Georgia Tech. And he had some other monster games, monster appearances, great catches, in other games. And, you look at that and you look at what kind of impact he made for this offense, and you see that performance. And I don't know that anyone thought he would come back. And the closer it got, though, like I was like, there might be a chance if Diego Pavia comes back, there's a chance. And lo and behold, here he is. And so I think this is huge for this team, because I think as this connection is not just huge for Diego Pavia's development and Eli Stowers' development. I mean, that's great in its own right, because those two get to grow as prospects for the next level, and those two guys get to grow as weapons for this Vanderbilt team as they make their quest to win 6, 7, 8, maybe even 9 ball games, and just keep collecting some of these big SEC wins. But, when you look at Stowers, I think what he does is him being great, I think is going to open the doors for some other guys. And him being great, and I think him being able to do different things, and like having a couple of having a couple of established running backs that you can kind of lean on in the run game, I think it's going to give everybody else a chance to really kind of catch up and see where they fit. I think it's going to give this wide receiver core to kind of sort itself out, whether it's Martel Height, Junior Sherrill, Trent Hudson, Chance Fitzgerald. I don't know who it's going to be on a regular basis. Trey Richards is a pretty special dude, but I think Eli Stowers being that main connection, and him being able to be in the option game, him being able to be in the short passes game. Hell, you can line him out wide. You can go 12 personnel and leave Cole Spence in there to help with pass pro. And also he can be a big target as well. But and we'll talk more about 12 personnel here in a minute. But this connection is going to allow Diego Pavia, A, safety net, and B, a chance for these other guys to kind of, like I said, to kind of get their, what together, right? Because as they develop, they're going to have to. They're going to have to find other answers, because people are going to guard Eli Stowers. But it buys them that time, and that's valuable, because we just don't know what it's going to look like coming out of camp, because I have to imagine Diego Pavia is not going to get a ton of reps in camp. He's going to get what's necessary, but I don't think he's going to get a ton of reps until game week, because I think they're trying to find answers at the backup quarterback position. I think they're trying to see what they have in Jack Edwards. I think they're trying to see what they have in Muschamp and Hilaire. I think there's some answers they've got to make there. I think they got to see what they have out in the receiving core. They got a bunch of talented dudes, a bunch. But who's going to be out there catching passes? Who's it going to be? Who's going to be the deep threat? Who's going to be the Who's going to be the guy that takes the lid off the defense? Who's going to be the guy that takes the slant to the house? Who's going to be the dude that on third and 8, he catches a curl route for 9 yards? Like he's Mr. Reliable. Who's going to be that guy? It's not going to be Stowers the whole time. It can't be. It absolutely cannot be. Because teams won't allow that. And what teams are going to do is they're going to constrict Stowers and say, I dare you with whatever's out there. And they're going to have to live and die with that. And teams did that last year, and they couldn't do anything. Pavia was banged up. He didn't have any reliable guys out there. And even Junior Sherrill was spotty at best. Now he's going to be better. He got better. I thought he became more consistent down the stretch. But like just as a group, you just didn't see it. And some of it was, I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was. Youth. You had some leftover guys that they were just not it dudes for the most part. Like, I just don't know what it was. And I think they've improved that. I feel like they've improved that. There's no way for me to know because you can't look at numbers. And you can look at physical attributes and say, okay, maybe they've gotten more athletic, but what does that really mean? So you're allowing Eli Stowers is going to allow this group to figure out what's going on because he can make plays. And you do have a couple of reliable pieces that you can lean on kind of early on. And you can give those guys some time, not too much time, but some time. And if they get that, and they start to understand where they fit in and they start to develop that rapport, then I think you're going to see this offense explode. And it's not going to be so reliant on holding the ball for 12 minutes. They're going to be a little bit more explosive, which means it's going to take that pressure off controlling the clock. So I'm excited about that. But I talked about 12 personnel. What does that really mean? Well, we're going to talk about what that really means. We're talking about that next. But first, have you ever wanted it to be easier to manage your money? Well, with Monarch Money, it is and it can be. Whether you're growing a savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, man. It gives you full visibility and control of your finances. I'm fired up about that. Right? With Monarch Money, it's more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. It's the quarterback of your wallet. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Who doesn't like wealth? If you don't like wealth, well, I don't know. I don't have anything for you. Right? But to me, with Monarch Money, I really like it because it allows me to categorize my spending. It allows me to see, okay, well, am I spending too much on all my subscriptions like Xbox, Paramount Plus, Hulu, Max, all the subscriptions? Am I getting too much takeout? Probably so. But it allows me to see it. So take control of your finances now with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half. When I said 50, I meant 50. Half off your first year. All right, wrapping up the show here. Quickly coming to an end. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen. Thank you for you loyal everydayers. Shout out to you guys. Without you guys, none of this is possible. So here we are. This is going to be a fun ride. This is going to be interesting to see kind of how this Vanderbilt team progresses through camp, progresses through the early part of the season. We'll know a lot of things after week 3. We'll have a lot of answers for week 3, and week 3 will set the tone for how we think the rest of the season is going to go for the most part. But I talked about 12 personnel earlier, and I think that could also be an important personnel group for Vanderbilt because early on, like, they're going to have to, I think just out of necessity, they may have to go with a lot of 12 personnel. They like to run out of it, for sure. You get an extra big blocker there. Sometimes you can go 12 personnel with 2 flexes. Bryce Coleman apparently was unguardable during spring practice. I think it just gives you options, right? And I think in a team that's searching for options, a team that doesn't feel like they have a lot of options, I think this is something that they can use and put in their tool belt to say, okay, we have an option. We can go to this personnel group. We have some things here. Let's see what we got. Because the tight end is going to be an important position in this offense. The Eli Stowers role, the flex role, the joker role, the whatever you want to call it role, right? They have Bryson Coleman coming in to fill in his footsteps. That's going to be, I think there's going to be some depth going on there, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be a fun group to preview because it's so dynamic. It brings so much versatility. So 12 personnel, man, is there going to be more of it? Well, that's definitely not 12 personnel with number 50 there, but they have a potential first rounder in Eli Stowers, man, and that's like we talked about his elite connection with Pavia. He's going to be the one that allows this group to do some great stuff, right? 12 personnel is very possible. Like I said, it's kind of like that reset button that, okay, we just need a different group out there. We want to run a little more. We just early on, we just don't know. And that's something that I think is going to give you some variety, and it's going to allow you to create some mismatches as well on the inside. And it's going to allow defenses to have to match up to that, which I think is going to create some more one-on-one stuff on the outside too, which I think is extremely valuable. But what I love is the flex tight end position, the Joker. I'm going to call it the Joker because I think that's a cool name. But Eli Stowers, Bryson Coleman, they offer versatility at that position. I think there's a lot of possibilities you have with that you can do. And since Coleman proved that he can play during the spring, I think that allows you to now open up some possibilities and say, okay, we have something here with Coleman. He can play. And we're going to, they can utilize him a little bit, right? They can throw him and Stowers in the game at the same time and utilize those guys. So there's a lot of different things you can do. Cole Spence is a big presence. He offers a lot as an inline tight end, and he's somebody that I think has a lot of versatile skills. I think he had a couple of big catches in the bowl game. I think you saw their comfort in using him. And I don't think it was, I think his lack of production wasn't because he's bad and wasn't because he's not a viable receiver, because he very much is. I think a lot had to do with they just weren't comfortable with their pass protections and they had to keep him in. I think it just, that was just the necessity that they needed for Cole Spence. They had to keep him in pass protection. They had to protect Pavia. I don't know that you're going to see as much of that because I think they feel better about this offensive line. So I think you're going to see Cole Spence factor into the passing game a little more, which is exciting because he's a big 6'7" target. He's somebody that can flash over the middle of the field. He can flash on some short crossing routes. He can be a part of the mesh game. He can be, it can be a lot of things as an inline tight end, not just a blocker. A DB, I think, is going to be somebody that's going to come in strictly as a blocker. When he's in the game, I think you're going to see heavy pass protection, max pass protection, heavy run, all that stuff when he's in the game. I think when you could have 13 personnel if you really wanted to. If you're really feeling spicy and juicy, you can go with Cole Spence at the point of you can go tight bunch with Stowers on the outside, Coleman on the wing, Spence at the point, and in kind of like a flex formation or flex alignment, and that would be dangerous. That would just be filthy. To have 13 personnel there and 2 guys right there that can run some down the field routes and be a part of you could do some sort of there's a lot of possibilities with that. Coach Beck, if you're listening to this, I don't know. I mean, you've been doing this obviously longer than I have been. So, my suggestions are just that, suggestions. I think that'd be fun. That'd be kind of dangerous. But I'm excited about this tight end group because there's a lot of ability here. There's a lot of different versatile skill sets, and there's a lot of things you can do. So overall, I think the whole goal is this. In order for Diego Pavia to unlock, I think the connection with Stowers has to really strengthen to allow the other weapons to emerge. And I think as those things emerge, I think different personnel groups emerge, more variety within the scheme emerges, and I think their ability to do different things out of different looks will also keep teams on their toes. And they have guys that can be in there that can get in some different looks that don't fit their personnel group, if you catch my drift. So this tight end group is going to be, it's going to be interesting to watch. It's going to be interesting to watch their usage throughout fall camp. How much are they actually involved? What are they wanting to accomplish? Is it just going to be Cole Spence in the run game and pass pro? I hope not. I hope they get him more involved in the pass game. He's too big of a guy and can catch for him to just be stuck in pass protection. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. A couple of quick notes. I'm going on an Alabama show tomorrow, and that'll be fun. I'm going to talk about Vanderbilt and just kind of, talk about that matchup with Alabama a little bit. They have some things for me, but it'll be an interesting appearance. I'll probably link that here just to as some extra bonus content to kind of like, hey, this is where I'm at. These are my appearances. If you want to see me as a guest on somebody else's show, that's where you can catch me. So that'll be a lot of fun, and I'm kind of excited about it, and kind of excited to spread the Vanderbilt word. So with that, hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. Anchor down. Peace out. Later.